Good morning. Good morning, everyone. We're here on our weekly live show on Pros and Babes. If you're watching this recording from our Facebook group, you can access your worksheets. And today I'm talking about parenting in the 21st century and the challenges of parenting in the 21st century. So I'll wait a couple of moments for people to be able to jump on. I'm excited to see you all. And I know that there's a bit of a lag sometimes in comments. Hi, Alicia. Hi, Margaret. So I'm on Instagram and on Facebook. Perfect, Kelsey. Hi, Victor. It's so good to see you all. Happy Friday. It's kind of rainy in Edmonton today. The last 2 Fridays have been pretty rainy. So as I mentioned, there's a bit of a lag in the comments, but today I'm going to try to, reach out and see. So I'll talk and then look at your comments later. Hi, Colleen. So good to see you. Hi, Melt Confections. Okay, so today's topic is parenting in the 21st century. And the three key takeaways are going to be recognizing the challenges that you're facing, right? And reminding you that you are really not alone on this whole journey. You have a tribe here with us. You have your heart and you have your intelligence. Our philosophy at Pros and Babes is centered around getting really clear on your beliefs, your values, and your mindset. We believe that everything flows from that. And we would want you to examine, hi Alicia, nice to see you too. What are your beliefs around how your child should behave, and what are you trying to teach him and her when you discipline or course correct their behavior? Hi Penny, hi Kirsten, so good to see you. Perfect. This is a really important show to comment today because we're not alone in all of this. Becoming a parent can be such an isolating and lonely journey, especially in this time where you're disinfecting everything and you're learning many things. So today, happy Friday, Colleen. So today it's really important to give a shout out to your other parents and let them know that you're there for them, right? Hi, Andrea. Hi, you're here on Instagram. Great. So I would like to really know what's on your mind these days when it comes to parenting choices. Which stages are you in? How old are your kiddos? How many do you have? Are you in the newborn fog still? Or do you have 2 kids? Are you transitioning back to work soon? Tell us about you and tell other parents how you're doing. So that's one of the things we're going to be discussing today is that you're not alone in this parenting journey. We're here, we're your tribe. Our group attracts lots of professional parents that demand so much of themselves when it comes to parenting. You like to read a lot of books. If you're reading some books, or articles, you can type up what you're reading right now. And also we will be examining how we can constructively deal with advice, and getting some historical perspective can go a really long way. And discussing the pros and cons of using social media as a parent. We create a digital footprint for children very early on in life. And there's a few questions that you can ask yourself before you post to be more intentional and mindful of the consequences. We didn't grow up exposed to the camera and social media and the whole world, but our children are in a definitely different time. And how you do it and being aware of your values and choices and the consequences in the long term is truly important. So my nugget of wisdom, if you're going to jump off early, is that imagine yourself with your child in 20 to 25 years. You're sitting in your favorite spot together, wherever that is going to be, by a lake, at your cabin, on a beach, on a mountain, and you're enjoying a drink together. What's that drink? Is it a warm cup of tea? Is it a martini? Is it water? And what are your kids telling you about those 25 years? Your parenting and your time together. What are those memories going to be? I remember listening to one of my favorite podcasts. It's called Don't Mom Alone. And she was interviewing a guest who was saying that she told her children that she's going to pay for a psychologist for each one of them. And she says, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to mess up your children in some way. And I found that really endearing, recognizing that whatever we're going to do, we're not going to do it perfectly. And that's okay. Our parents did the best they could with the information they had, right? And then I also wanted to share something I got in my inbox a couple of minutes before this live from economist Emily Oster. She wrote Crib Sheet. And so she answered the question, should I send my kids to daycare right now? So this disclaimer, this is not medical advice. She's not in Canada, but I love her conclusion about not having one right way to do it. Always follow your local guidance when it comes to medical officials. I see new people joining. Hi, Bonnie. Hi, Kim. I think you joined us. So, this is not medical guidance. Obviously, you should trust what your officials are saying locally, but she's an economist. She looks at really good evidence, really good data. And so the question she answered today in her newsletter, Emily Oster, an economist, she wrote the book Crib Sheet and Expecting Better. And the question, should I send my kids to daycare? And she says, this is a really hard question. First, you might want to review her explainer on COVID-19 and kids, which suggests that kids have typically mild illness and that they also do not seem to get infected at as high rates as older people. This culminates in some findings suggesting kids are not huge spreaders of the virus. This in turn probably provides some pro-daycare views, okay? But despite this, as we note there, it's not correct to say that kids cannot get COVID. And if you send them to daycare or camp or school, they are more likely to be infected than if you keep them home and do not expose them to other people. This both means they may get sick and they could spread to you. This is just the reality that we live with, right? So there are things we can do to make this less risky. For example, encourage everyone to reinforce the idea of keeping kids home when they're even little sick or if they've been exposed to someone with COVID. Make sure people wash hands and so on. Keeping kids in smaller groups will also help, but the risk will be there. This is the nature of the pandemic. So thinking about this means thinking about your family situation. How important is it for your kids to be back at daycare or school? This could be important for work or for mental health. How important do you feel this is for your child? Not an easy question to answer, and it will differ across families. You'll probably want to think about adults. Is your child often exposed to elderly or immunocompromised adults? This could raise the risk. So what she concludes is, in the end, different families may come differently on this. There isn't really one right choice. So I was reading Emily Oster's newsletter. She's an economist. She provides a lot of evidence-based parenting reflections, and she was answering the question today in her newsletter about whether you should send your child to daycare or not during COVID. And she said that in the end, different families may come down differently on this. There isn't really one choice. Again, this is not a replacement for local medical advice. Follow local guidance. That's my disclaimer, but I do like her perspective that there is not really one way to do this, just as when it comes to parenting, and that your family will have to answer very individual questions. So those are the 3 topics for today. The overwhelm of parenting in the 21st century and how to deal with it, how to deal with advice, and social media. And then I gave a little clip about, yes, Jacqueline, you say you love Emily Oster. Yes, she wrote Crib Sheet recently. Check out her newsletter. She just launched one on COVID-19. It's great if you want to look at evidence and data. So the action steps for you today, I would really like to ask you to comment, especially in this episode. We would like to hear from you. How old are your kiddos? How many do you have? We offer a Starbucks gift card to our most active participant. And we also want to invite you to sign up for our intensive 5-day free workshops on being happy on mat leave and being a successful and affluent working parent. We think there's a lot that has to do with mindset and using your mat leave wisely and having support during the transition to working parenthood. So, invite your friends into this group and you could win a $150 gift card from Amazon. Check out our post with instructions. Follow our Instagram account and fill out your worksheet that's posted in this group. So there we go. Those are my nuggets for people who can't stay with us for the whole time, but just a bit of information. And I'll sip water because I talk fast. I'm going to try to slow down. Hi Janine. Hi Megs. I'm seeing everybody joining on Instagram and Facebook. So good to have you. We're talking about parenting in the 21st century today. And in our Facebook group, we have a contest for a Starbucks card and a worksheet. So hello, ambitious parents. For those who are new with us today, welcome to our live show. If you're just joining us, this live show happens every Friday at 9:45 in Edmonton, Mountain Standard Time, or 11:45 Eastern Standard Time. And I love seeing we have so many new members this week. Welcome to all of you. Really welcome. Thank you for being here with us. Our shows are about 30 minutes in length. I know your little ones require a lot of attention. Mine are 9 months and 3 years old. Actually, my little one is turning 3 tomorrow. Big milestone for him. I can't believe it. I can't believe it at all. So it's totally understandable if you need to step away. We record these shows. You can do the worksheets later. And I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Kenya Romanovska. I'm a mom of 2, as I just mentioned. And in this group, we help ambitious moms on mat leave and their partners align their goals and ambitions with their role as a mother, as a working mother too, to successfully gain the right mindset, skills, control, and organization for working motherhood, as well as the confidence to know you're protecting your careers and income during your mat leave. And we also support dads. We have a dad in our current cohort who's enrolled, adding great stuff to our conversations. And during our first live shows, we talked about why we're here, what we do. We talked about negotiation, we talked about money, so you can catch up on the previous lives in the unit section. Hi Amanda, you just joined us. I'm seeing a lot of comments. Please keep encouraging others. Thanks for the cheers. So let's get deeper into our topic of parenting. And if at any time you have any questions or comments, hi Brittany, hi. So if you have any questions or comments, hi Kasha. If you have any questions or comments, please write them down. If I can't answer them live, I'll get back to them. So Mommy Loves Baby Official, that's Margaret. She says 10-month-old son, it's your first and you're going back to work soon. So it's going to be very interesting. Lots of moms that are coming back to work soon. So, you know, cheer each other on, tell each other that you're here for each other. So, you know, our philosophy, as I said, is to recognize your values, your beliefs, your mindset. That's super important. And think about your beliefs about how your child should behave. With my toddler, when my newest one was born, you know, our patience was low. We were so sleep deprived. It's our first week that we've been getting longer sleep with our 9-month-old. So I was not often patient with my toddler and had all these scripts in my head about how he should behave. Maybe I shouldn't deal with this, or this is so annoying. And our little kids feel that. And so one of the books I read that I'm going to be talking today about discipline is what is truly going on in your head and your mindset about your parenting. Hi, Monica. So good to see you. Hi, Amanda. More Amandas. Hi, Melissa. Thank you so much for joining us. So, you know, there's a New York Times book called, there's a New York Times book review of the book Under Pressure, All Joy and No Fun. And it summarizes parenting and the 21st century so well. It's my favorite quote ever. And here we go. We have this in the worksheet, right? Hi, Marie-Pierre. Hi, Melissa. So good to see you here. Raising children is terribly hard work, often thankless and mind-numbing, and yet the most rapturous experience available to adults. Parents are both happier and more miserable than non-parents. Child rearing dictates a wider emotional range than people have known before it. Most parenting stresses its participants to their limits, no matter how much they love their children. Mothers are frequently overwhelmed by their attempts to excel both at their paid jobs and at childcare. In 1965, when most American women didn't work outside the home, mothers nonetheless spent almost 4 fewer hours a week than today's mothers do providing childcare. Fathers, on the other hand, spend 3 times as many hours with their children now as they did then, but do better at keeping some downtime reserved for themselves. So that's from All Joy and No Fun, a book about parenting in the 21st century. So tell me in the comments, how are you more happy than non-parents, but how are you more miserable than non-parents? And what kind of emotions did you experience in starting your journey as a new parent? I'm sure you've been on a roller coaster. So share please with a team, right? Remember, our most active participants get a gift card from Starbucks today. I want to treat you to your next treat, to something to brighten your day. So today, more moms are not only trying to navigate the mother role, but also the working mom role. And let's face it, that's why we're here in this group. And in the book, the author summarizes that we can become frequently overwhelmed in our attempts to excel both at our paid jobs and at childcare. So don't try to be perfect at everything. Colleen says that you're really baffled about that stat that women are spending more time now than in 1965. You wonder why. Is it social pressure? Yeah, well, it's interesting, right? An interesting stat. So I'm going to repeat, in 1965, when most women didn't work outside the home, mothers nonetheless spent almost 4 fewer hours a week than today's mothers do providing childcare. If we can look at Mad Men, maybe they had more time for self-care. I don't know. That's probably a bit of a caricature of those times. So Margaret, you say it's better now, but I remember before sleep training was very hard for my husband and I. All our family lives in Ontario, so we couldn't really hand him off to anybody to sleep. Yeah, that's really tough. That's really tough. I understand that. There's a lot of people in Alberta too that have family outside of the province, Margaret. And Kristen says, we're talking about emotions. There's a lot of pressure to be a Pinterest mom these days. Yeah, Andrea. Kristen, you say happy. I've always been this adorable smiling face to cheer me up every morning. Stressed. I think I see that. Bonnie, thank you so much. Morning part of your identity. Please keep on commenting. So, okay, a couple of tips on how working parents can feel less overwhelmed. And that's from Harvard Business Review. We take a lot of our materials from Harvard Business Review. Know your end game. Why are you working? Why is it important to you? What does it bring you? Yesterday in our cohort, where we bring parents together live to discuss these things, we talked about your career spanning 10,000 days and that you're going to earn $1.5 million to $4 million over your lifetime. That puts things in the big perspective. Ask yourself, why are you working? It's not just for the money, right? So remembering that. And invest your time accordingly. I'm just going to pull up that article from How to Be Less Overwhelmed. So knowing your end game, and that we're super big on that in Pros and Babes. Why are you working? Well-run organizations and good managers within them have clear, compelling views of their future. I know if you're in your baby fog today, it can be really hard if you're sleep deprived, but even if it's writing things down on a scrappy little piece of paper, imagining yourself in 20 years and having those conversations with your kids can give you that guidance when you have that overwhelm to find it in your heart what the right answer is for you, right? So know what results in your family will permit you to say that you succeeded. Have clarity on where you want to go and the confidence to make your decisions and take motivation on what lies ahead. So as a working parent, do you have an idea of what your long game is, right? And then invest your time accordingly. Prune your calendar of commitments that don't align with those values of yours. Don't say yes to everything so you don't have to be so frantic. There is no working parent magic formula. The definition of success should be different to everyone. What is your definition of success, right? And identify a goal that is truly personal for your family in terms of how you want to have that conversation in 25 years with your children. You are going to screw up, you are going to make mistakes, but what are the good things? What are the memories that you're going to remember? Then they talk about scheduling a regular power outage. I'm not leading by example here. So I hope that others can tell me how they schedule a regular power outage. The times I take my phone to me before going to bed, I don't get the best night's sleep. And those are some tips for working parents to feel less overwhelmed and more in control. Really knowing your end game on those tough working days. Ask yourself why you're working. What's your longing for that? Prune your calendar of commitments that don't serve you. Schedule a regular power outage. And I love invest your time accordingly and keep a got it done list. Keep a got it done list. I tried it one day. I have a never-ending list of to-do tasks with my business and my family. And one day I sat down to write down everything I did. There's this study, I think she calls it the Zeigarnik effect, where we really focus on that one thing we didn't do and it drives us crazy and it takes a disproportionate amount of space in our brain. So to write that, it's a very quick fix. Write that got it done list to instantly feel better about your day and about yourself, okay? So how working parents can feel less overwhelmed and more in control. I'm going to repeat that the week of June 15th, we have a 5-day workshop so packed with goodies, postpartum support, negotiation, money, relationships. We're diving deeper into that. And we're asking you to introduce and refer friends to our group. And so I wanted to tell you a bit about our team and tell you why we're asking you to refer friends through introductions to us. Our contest to win a $150 Amazon gift card is about this introduction. So I want your acquaintances to know that there are real people in this team. We do live in the age of information overload, and we want to get to know the people you're bringing into this group because we literally build our programs based on your concerns. They're built on what you're experiencing, and the better we know our audience, the better we can serve you. And we have a whole team behind me doing that, with me, along my side. So I'm in Alberta, but Jacqueline, our marketing manager, is in Toronto. I hope you can give a wave to everyone. Hi, Nicole. Thank you for joining. Thanks, Andrea, for commenting here. And then we have 5 interns in Ontario and in Quebec. And so the show here is possible because we have 7 people working on it and preparing all these resources for you. And we build them based on the questions that you send us. So we're here full time building this for you. We're researching what other parents need. And, so please say hi in the chat. All of our team, please say hi, identify yourselves. We build based on your needs, your questions, what you're going through. And, a little moment of truth here. I'm going to have somebody else come and teach self-care because I'm not an example on that these days. I have 2 kids, but I probably spend between 40 to 60 hours a week working on this stuff for you. And, so there's real people doing hard work to serve you every week. Real people doing behind the scenes work across Canada, East and West, to make sure that we can really change the mat leave and parental experience in Canada. We're really committed. And, not just in Canada, but across the world. I know Victor joined us from Europe. Victor, we studied together, so thank you for coming. So we're putting our money where our mouth is. Take advantage and help others, introduce them to us, and you could win an Amazon gift card, truly. We want to know them. We want to build the programs for you based on our interactions. So there you go. That's for introduction for a 5-day workshop in June. Thank you so much for joining us today. Tell me in the comments, you know, did your mom work in the home? Did she work outside the home? Because let's face it, if you're in the home, whether you're working outside of the home or in the home, you're working really hard with children. Thank you so much for joining us. We have people joining us on Instagram as well. We're talking about parenting in the 21st century on our weekly live show. Was your grandma a stay-at-home mom? And by that I mean, did she work in the home or did she work outside? Thanks, Yaya. Thank you so much. Hi. Hello, Victor. Hi. So outside of the home. Okay. Thanks for those comments. Some inside the home, some outside of the home. I'm sure all of your moms showed you hard work, whether they were inside of the home and outside of the home. They were really committed to you. The fact that you're here today means that that you value parenting, right? Are you happy with the amount of time your partner has to spend with your children, your husband, your wife? People have different arrangements at home in terms of who works more. So my key takeaway from this point is about the challenges of parenting in the 21st century is that parents in every generation navigated difficult decisions, criticism from others, their own parents. I certainly have with my first child about my children's sleep, how I did it, what I did around childcare, how I decided to introduce solids. And I'm an only child, so having a baby to take care of was a new experience for me. And I didn't have the confidence that my husband, who's from a family of 5 in terms of handling a newborn. But now that I have a wonderful 3-year-old toddler, I wish I had, you know, the new mom, Kenya, I wish I had told her that there really is more than one way to parent and to get it right. I was so sensitive to other people's opinions about how I did things and about other people's opinions. Ultimately, my love for my children and my intelligence served me well. And I want to tell you that those are your biggest weapons here, right? Those are your biggest weapons. Your heart and your weapons is maybe a bit of negative, but it's your biggest skills are your intelligence and your heart, right? So I wish I didn't stress so much about the criticism of others who did things in a different way. Family, some people really, really close to us. Hi, Zainab. Thank you for joining us. We're talking about parenting in the 21st century. So, you know, I wish that I wasn't so, like, I didn't take it to heart so much. People will tell you that you're not doing things right, but, you know, in your heart, you should trust what you're doing when you love your child and you're doing your best. So this is the moment where I would really like to ask you all to post a comment of encouragement to others who might have younger kids and to let them know about a time you did really well in the end and how you're proud of yourself, even though you struggled with a decision, whether it was sleep, nutrition, you know, maybe you raised your voice at your child one time and you're not proud. So, you know, I wish there were a couple of books that I had discovered earlier in my journey as a parent, instead of jumping to the manuals of how to get your kid to sleep in the first 6 weeks. Boy, when I had my first child, I thought that they would sleep in 6 weeks. How funny. So I have Baby Meets World here. I really, really like that one. It's almost an anti-advice book. It's more of a historical perspective here. And it says, Baby Meets World is a breath of fresh air for parents increasingly pressured to do the next right thing for their children by exploring the wondrous complexities of early development in the context of personal experience, as well as cultural norms, fads, and fancies. Nicholas Day provides a fascinating, entertaining, and ultimately reassuring look at what babies really need. Your love, your intelligence, right? And your dedication and your curiosity. And then he says, for as long as they have been having them, it seems safe to assume that human beings have worried about their babies. This was a rational reaction. For thousands of years, infancy was a gauntlet of deadly dangers. It was a stage of life that parents were relieved to see end. No one then stopped anyone in the grocery store and said, enjoy every precious moment, and all goes by so fast. That's not to say parents weren't delighted by their babies. They often were, but that delight was darkened by foreboding. We look down at this fateful history from the heights of modern medicine, knowing that we modern parents will never have to walk through that perilous valley. Well, times have changed a little bit right now, but you know, that set aside, it's still a good paragraph. We expect our children to live out infancy. We are at the tail end of a decline in infant mortality that began just over a century ago. Babies no longer wander into open hearths that are mauled by marauding pigs. We have vaccines, lead-free educational toys, diapers that can sop up a typhoon, but we have never been more worried. The Puritans have good reason to worry, but the future of a newborn today has never been more assured. We occupy a privileged place in the history of infancy. We are free to enjoy it. We are free to enjoy it. Thanks for joining us, Tara. So I really like this book. I wish I had read it earlier. Then there's also the Anthropology of Childhood. And that gives tons of perspective how parenting is done so differently around the world. Some people, put their kids on ants' nests to have them walk faster, or chili paste up their bums. So it's interesting to see how, or others have them play with fire early on, or scorpions, because that's what they need to do to survive. Then I have the emotional life of the toddler. I have the emotional life of the toddler that I really liked. And this one, discipline that connects with your child heart. So this one is more faith-based. I know people have different approaches, whether they're faith-based or not, but here I love how it examines us to examine our mindset, encourages us to examine our mindset. To truly grow as a parent, I examine my thoughts, feelings, and motives, and I surrender them to prayer. The strong emotions, actions, and statements revealed when I discipline are strong indicators of what's happening under the surface. They provide me a mirror to see what's really in my heart. In unique ways, these insights can become the subject matter for my time and prayer. Once I acknowledge these things, I can be guided to transform the work in my heart, right? Hi, Melanie. So good to see you here. Thank you for joining us. So I really like that insight about imagining your own mindset. For me, it transformed about how I approach discipline. And, when I was frustrated with my toddler, it would encourage me to think, like, what is he feeling from the way I'm reacting? Not just from what I'm saying, but how I'm behaving. Hi, Alice. Thank you for joining us. We're talking about parenting in the 21st century. Then there's also the book Crib Sheet by Emily Oster. So I quoted her at the beginning of our live. She's an economist. She was really bothered by how she was guided when she was expecting her first child, and how there was no clear guidance on whether on evidence around drinking during pregnancy, coffee, and all of those things. So she takes a lot of really good evidence-based research, examines it, and gives us slivers of really good evidence. There's on Instagram Life of Dr. Mom, a local doctor, Dr. Stephanie Liu. She has 2 kids about my kids' age, so I really like following her. And I'd like to type for you. Oh, perfect. You're already typing the recommendation. So Bon, you're saying The Whole Brain Child. Yes, I see that one coming up a lot. And Melanie, you're saying your little girl is 4 months. You struggle with the endless amounts of collecting info out there. For sure. There's tons of information overload. And just before you came on, I was talking about trusting in your intelligence and in your heart. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in our point about constructively dealing with advice. But feel free to post your good sources of information that you like to check out. As I said, Emily Oster, really good evidence-based stuff on COVID-19 right now. I've kind of stepped away from news because it's really confusing, but Emily Oster, when she writes about it, I really pay attention. Okay, so constructively dealing with advice. It can be so difficult today with social media and the mass amount of information we have access to on a daily basis. Raise your hand, clap if you've reached out to Dr. Google at 2 a.m. At 2 a.m., right? So raise your hand if you reached out to Dr. Google when you were nursing or feeding your child a bottle at 2 a.m. So Kristen, you're saying now at 5 months postpartum, I am finally embracing that I can research as much as I want, but in the end, so I can't see the rest of the comments in there. I'm sorry about that. I'll look at it, but thank you for sharing where you are in your journey. And now the Institute of Family Studies says that the proliferation of parenting philosophies, health guidelines, educational options, and more makes parenting in the 21st century more mentally difficult than in the past in many regards. Indeed, being a parent today doesn't just mean having a baby and raising him or her to become a reasonably healthy, literate adult. From the positive pregnancy test onward, it means navigating a dizzying array of contradictory advice on just about everything. What to eat and avoid during pregnancy, what painkillers, if any, to accept during childbirth, whether or not to let your infant cry himself to sleep, how to potty train her, at what age he should enter kindergarten, whether and how to pass her religious faith to her, at what age he can stay home alone, how much time she should spend watching TV, exercise, reading. Okay, I'm going to take a deep breath here. I don't want to overwhelm you. So, if you have questions about that, post them in the comments. Other moms, please encourage each other. But I can tell you now that I have a second child, it's so much easier the second time around. I can reuse all my gadgets. I don't worry as much. I have way more confidence. So moms who are overwhelmed the first time around, I want to say you've got this. You're here, you're smart, you have your brain, you have your heart. Your baby will remember in their heart how you're gazing lovingly at them and just trying to do the best for them, okay? So tell me, are you happy with 21st century parenting? We talked about a bit of perspective. We don't have to worry so much about infant mortality right now than we did in the past. Would you prefer to have more or less advice thrown your way? How do you deal with unwanted parenting advice? Does it bother you, or do you just do your own thing? Because I've met moms from all different ends of the spectrum, and my big discovery was how people approach sleep training so differently. And I loved hearing the different stories. I've seen people doing things completely differently than me. So I'll share a couple of pathways. I've seen co-sleeping for longer times. I've seen people having kids in their cribs during in the room, in a different room. Literally, I've seen people sleep train at a few weeks, at a few months, and they were all very dedicated, informed, evidence-based parents, right? So again, nothing I say here replaces the guidance of your medical practitioner, but sleep was a big discovery for me. I stressed about it so much the first time around. We tried so many things. We were dealing with eczema, and ultimately we made it. Now my 9-month-old is sleeping through the night right now. It's a big relief. We took a pretty gradual approach. I'd nurse him. So I wanted to tell you that parents are doing very different things when it comes to sleep, and I've seen many of them succeed in many different ways. There's not one size fits all approach. So I don't know if I would love to pull some people on camera, but I don't know if I can do it. It all depends on how, I might have to test that out with my team. If there was somebody who wanted to jump on camera, let me know. I'll try to track that for the future. So there's one article I love in The Atlantic, and the title is, Louise, if you want, you can post it, is Don't Think of Ugly People, How Parenting Advice Has Changed. It's a really funny one, really good one. And I'm going to read some excerpts from it. It's really worth noting. So I'm jumping in. What Eloise has, like most babies, are good parents. Good parents, especially first-time parents, seek advice. Julia and her husband are following the American Academy of Pediatrics recommendation that screen time for babies is unhealthy. They have a fat stack of parenting guides sitting in their daughter's carefully assembled nursery, full of similar information that can help them care for a person who has very specific needs which she can't communicate. The market is pretty much choking on baby care books today. The phenomenon seemed to launch in the 1950s with Dr. Benjamin Spock's Baby and Child Care. While his child rearing advice reached the largest audience in history, he was by no means the first to put rules for infant care in authoritative print. The business of instructing mothers on how to do their job really bloomed in the 19th century. So Dr. Apple was the one interviewed in this article, and her view today is that we only have more details, not full answers. Parents are still all too aware of what they don't know. Fear still sells. The mortality rate of American babies today is infinitesimally small. That's not a word you want to use in a live show. It's better in writing. Compared to any time in history. We no longer worry about diphtheria or a mother's argument with a neighbor poisoning her breast milk. So I'm seeing Victor, when your baby first eats from the dog's bowl, you go to the doctor. With the second you wash his mouth. Yeah. I love that. That's so funny. Yes. Funmi gets irritated by unsolicited advice, so I always ask for other parents if I may suggest something for them. Love that. So, okay, I'm going back to The Atlantic. We find different things to worry about, things that even the most exhaustively detailed books of yesteryear would never even have considered. Should drop-side cribs be banned? Which chemicals might be seeping into my child's liver through the plastic in her sippy cup? What's worse for baby, formula feeding or just directly feeding it lead paint chips? So The Atlantic, a funny article on this. Dr. Apple offers a calmer point of view. I'm a historian, not a healthcare practitioner, but from my experience and readings, I would say that the basic rule would be everything in moderation. Anything done to excess can be potentially harmful. For example, the difference between a daily multivitamin and a mega dose of vitamins. So moderation. There is one thing we tend to forget with our babies as we look down on them in their cribs, hoping the wispy rise and fall of their chests will continue even after we look away, and genuinely afraid that it won't. Babies want to live. They want to thrive. No matter what new wave in parenting washes over them, they adapt. In 100 years, historians may be disgusted by our use of diapers and click their tongues over our ignorance of subatomic particles as they relate to cognitive development. They will be around to judge our folly because they survived it, just as our grandparents survived the incomplete information their parents had, right? I left with Eloise snuggled onto her mother's chest, sleeping in contentment. A safe child whose parents' love is delivered in the fashion becoming the 21st century. Though it might be more gentle and attentive, it is no less a love than has ever come before. I have tears in my eyes reading this expert. I'm telling you that the love you have for your children and the intelligence are such good guides. And if you're a new mom and it's hard for you and you're overwhelmed by this information, go back to your heart and the love you have for your kids. I wish I didn't stress so much, but maybe that stress is also necessary the first time around. Maybe it's just part of the evolution, but be reassured that the chances of your kid doing well are never higher than they were in history before, okay? So thank you so much for your participation. I know that we are half hour in, but there's so much to say about parenting. The last part of today's live, the third topic, and please continue commenting. I can't wait to give our Starbucks gift card to our most active participants. Hi, Veronica. So good to see you. Hi, Daniel. So we're getting into the last part of our live, and we're talking about the pros and cons of using social media as a parent. Yes, Colleen, it's true, right? Babies want to thrive. They want to live. That reassured me so much when I was checking my little baby's breath when they were so tiny, and you're just kind of waking up in the middle of the night checking if they're breathing. Now, as we're getting into social media, it's really tricky because there's so many opinions on social media and the pros and cons of using it as a parent. And I have to say I've been extremely lucky because really the only moms in my life during my whole journey when I started Pros and Babes 2.5 ago. Hi, Maria, thank you for joining us. I've only been surrounded by super, super intelligent, delightful women and parents in my journey and Pros and Babes. That's probably the best thing about running this group and this organization is that the amazing women who are here. So please reach out and get to know each other. I see Bonnie just commented, you used to have nightmares. Bonnie is one of our ambassadors. Hi, Katie. It's so good to see you from Saskatchewan. Thanks for joining us. I'm about to talk about social media and the digital footprint for our children early on in life. So today we can not only ask Dr. Google for everything, we start creating a digital footprint for our children early on in life without their consent and knowledge. And the consequence of our online actions on behalf of our children are still unknown. I read a few kind of scary articles on the topic. It can really make you pause. Our college recruiter is going to be looking at our children's, online pictures when they're little. That was a very conservative article on the topic. So I'm not here to scare anybody. I'm here to ask you to make mindful choices around that. Cynthia is saying that social media was a double-edged sword, access to more knowledgeable moms and looking at the perfect curated moment. Yeah, I can't see the rest of the comment right now while I'm live, but yes, it's a double-edged sword. So let me ask you this. Is there a mindful way to use social media as a parent? Healthychildren.org recommends asking 5 questions before posting content online. And this is a good way to become more mindful on how you use social media in general. Why are you sharing it? Would you want someone to share it about you? Could your child be embarrassed about it now or in the future? Is there anyone in the universe who shouldn't see this about your child now or at any point in the future? Is this something you want to be part of your child's digital footprint? So I'm going to repeat this at the end. Louise is posting it in the comments. Hi, Lynn. Thank you so much for joining. We're wrapping up our show on parenting in the 21st century with using social media wisely. Hi, Jess. You can watch the replay later and fill out the worksheet. So, you've gotten so much information on parenting and in particular about parenting in the 21st century. I want to give you the floor. I wish I could pull some people on camera, but it seems to be a complex process. I will try to do that in the future, right? If you have anything that you'd like explained more clearly. So yes, Margaret, you wrote earlier that with your next child, you'd have so much more experience and confidence in yourself, and you're trying, and Kasia, you're saying, try to give yourself confidence every day. Good. So write your questions or comments in the comment section, and I'm going to recap before wrapping up. Remember, we have a wonderful referral program and a 5-day intensive workshop about being happy on mat leave and transitioning into working motherhood to be successful and affluent. We have 5 days of that on June 15th. Please register for that. Bring your friends. You could win an Amazon gift card for $150 just for those introductions. The instructions are in our Facebook group. And so a recap of today's show. Today, more moms than ever are not only trying to navigate the mother role, but also the working role. Raising children is terribly hard work, often thankless and mind-numbing, and yet the most rapturous experience available to adults. Parents are both happier and more miserable than non-parents, right? In 1965, when most women did not work outside the home, mothers spent almost 4 fewer hours a week than mothers today do providing childcare. Fathers, on the other hand, spend 3 times as many hours with their children now than they did then, but do better at keeping some downtime reserved for themselves. Some tips to feel less overwhelmed as a working parent. Know your end game. Why are you working? Why is this important to you? What does it bring you? Invest your time accordingly. Keep a got it done list. I love that one. Schedule a regular power outage. And some key takeaways about the challenges of parenting in the 21st century. Parents in every generation have navigated through difficult decisions, criticism from others, or even from their own parents. There is more than one right way to parent and to get it right. And don't stress about criticism from other people who did it differently, because there really is more than one way to parent and be successful. I really wish I told myself that, especially when I see my toddler who is 3 tomorrow. He's 3 tomorrow. I can't believe it. He's growing into such a wonderful human being who says, you know, Mommy, how can I help you? And I love you, Mommy. And he's so thankful. We're teaching him gratitude. So I wish I had just told myself that I'm doing a lot of things right, even though some people close to me criticize some of my choices. I work a lot. I work tons. My mom worked too. And yet I try to make the moments with my kids so meaningful and instill values, because I can't outsource teaching values. And so I'm really big on being clear on thankfulness, gratitude, peace, love, joy, self-control. Those are all really important things to me. So finishing my recap, according to the Institute of Family Studies, the proliferation of parenting philosophies, health guidelines, educational options, and more makes parenting in the 21st century more mentally difficult than in the past in many regards. Being a parent today doesn't just mean having a baby and raising him or her to become a reasonably healthy, literate adult. From the positive pregnancy test onward, it means navigating a dizzying array of contradictory advice on just about everything. The market is pretty much saturated with baby care books today. The business of instructing mothers on how to do their job really bloomed in the 19th century. Today, we not only have more details, we have more details, but we don't have all the answers. And parents are still very aware of what they don't know, and fear still sells, right? So the basic rule would be everything in moderation. Anything done to excess can be potentially harmful. For example, the difference between a daily multivitamin and a mega dose of vitamins. There is one thing we tend to forget with our babies as we look down on them in their cribs, hoping the wispy rise and fall of their chests will continue even after we look away, and genuinely afraid that it won't. Babies want to live. They want to thrive. No matter what new wave in parenting washes over them, they adapt. Most of us start, and then the recap on the digital and on the pros and cons of using social media as a parent. Most of us start creating a digital footprint for our children early on. It's practically unavoidable. We do everything online these days, right? Oh, thanks, Cynthia. Happy early birthday. Thank you. So most of us start creating a digital footprint for our children early on in their lives without their consent or knowledge. The consequence of our online actions on behalf of our children are still unknown. Thanks, Jessica, for joining. So ask yourself these questions. Why are you sharing on social media? Would you want someone to share this about you? Could your child be embarrassed by it now or in the future? Is there anyone in the universe who shouldn't see this about your child now or at any point in the future? And is this something you want to be part of your child's digital footprint? Okay, so that's a wrap for today. I'm so happy you could join us. I want to remind you that we do this every week, Friday morning at 9:45. And next week's live show's topic, we'll be talking about career skills and career planning. I love that topic. You can follow us on Instagram. I provide daily tips generally on parenthood and topics that are related to working parenthood. Jess, I thank you for joining. We're just wrapping up. You can watch the replay. And so Rajveer, also look at her comments. You know, she has the links to the Instagram account in the comment section. So remember, I love it when you all comment. We really wanted to hear from you and how you're parenting. Give one last shout out of words of encouragement. Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you so much for your encouragement. Sign up for our June 15 intensive workshop. The link is on our Facebook page on prosandbabes.com. Bring your friends. You could win $150 at Amazon for bringing your friends. Bring them to the party. And following us on Instagram, and fill out your worksheet now or later. So thank you so much. And thank you so much for our teams today. I introduced Jacqueline, Rajveer, Louise, Yuvraj, Tahia, I hope I'm mentioning all of you. Please see their introductions and the videos wishing you a happy Mother's Day 2 weeks ago. They are all over Canada working for you to give you, that support that you need as working parents. We're a team of 7 right now, okay? So please give them a big shout out. We're doing this. They work really hard all week to prepare their show for you. Thank you all. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy. I hope it's sunnier here. It's going to be sunnier here. I see the blue sky on the horizon. Bye, Melissa. We're just wrapping up. So please, hi, Wendy. Thanks for joining. So we're just wrapping up the show. We're going to post it in a couple of minutes. The worksheet is in the Facebook group. And that was today's show about parenting in the 21st century, social media, dealing with overwhelm, and the pros and cons of doing social media and dealing with advice. Take care, all. Bye.